The year 2025 didn't just raise the bar for what it means to fight for honor, pride, and legacy, it redefined it. Although the card was stacked with high-stakes rivalries and championship bouts, one unforgettable moment stood above all others. A moment that had the WWE Universe frozen in their seats, not because a title changed hands or a shocking betrayal took place, but because a battle unfolded that went far beyond belts or bragging rights. It was a clash rooted in raw emotion, personal redemption, and something deeper, identity. No one expected that the confrontation between Gunther and Pat McAfee would become the focal point of WWE Backlash 2025. And yet, when the final bell rang and the dust finally cleared, it wasn't just Gunther's overpowering, almost surgical destruction of McAfee that had fans and wrestlers alike talking, it was the reaction of an icon. When The Undertaker, one of the most revered legends in WWE history, offered his thoughts, his chilling and powerful words shifted the narrative forever. To truly understand how we got here, we have to rewind to the night after WrestleMania 41. Gunther, known as the Ring General, had suffered a rare and crushing loss on the biggest stage of them all. That defeat didn't just linger, it ignited something in him. A storm had been brewing inside, and it erupted live on Monday Night Raw. What was supposed to be a standard episode quickly descended into chaos when Gunther, seething with anger, marched toward the announce table. His target, Michael Cole. The reason? A commentary critique from Cole and his partner, Pat McAfee, about Gunther's WrestleMania performance. In Gunther's eyes, their analysis wasn't professional, it was disrespect. That was all the justification he needed to bring violence to the forefront. In front of millions watching worldwide, Gunther grabbed Cole by the collar, dragged him from his seat, and choked him out in a shocking act of aggression. Security swarmed. The arena descended into mayhem. But amidst the turmoil, one man did what very few others would dare. Pat McAfee stood up, tore off his headset, and confronted the Ring General face to face. For a brief moment, silence fell. Then Gunther struck with primal fury, locking McAfee in a chokehold and rendering him unconscious with a cold, calculated stare. The message was clear, this wasn't just a scuffle. This was war. Gunther was fined, suspended, and for a moment, it seemed the saga might end there. But Pat McAfee wasn't about to let it. On the following episode of SmackDown, McAfee stood before the WWE Universe and made his intentions known. He wasn't looking for sympathy. He didn't want retribution fueled by ego. He wanted a fight. Marching straight into acting general manager Nick Aldis' office, McAfee made a single request: lift Gunther's suspension and make the match official. McAfee didn't care about titles, scripts, or status. He wanted to prove something, to the fans, to Gunther, and most importantly, to himself. He wanted to prove that he belonged in the squared circle not just as a guest commentator or celebrity figure, but as a true competitor. Aldis, recognizing both McAfee's passion and the box office potential, agreed. The match was set for WWE Backlash 2025 in St. Louis. When that night finally arrived, the electricity in the air was undeniable. McAfee's entrance was met with thunderous applause, a groundswell of support for a man stepping into the lion's den. Then the lights dimmed, the Ring General's theme echoed through the stadium, and Gunther emerged, calm, focused, and cold as ever. From the moment the bell rang, Gunther unleashed pure brutality. This was no wrestling match, it was a clinical, punishing masterclass in dominance. Gunther threw McAfee around the ring with startling ease. His signature chops cracked through the arena, each one sounding like a gunshot. He delivered suplexes, devastating knees, and hammering forearms with an intensity that sent a clear message: this was personal. But Pat McAfee wouldn't stay down. Despite the onslaught, he kept rising. His lip split, his ribs bruised, exhaustion etched across his face, he kept fighting. He landed a few solid strikes of his own, even managing to briefly stun Gunther with a surprise kick and a counter suplex that sent the crowd into a frenzy. He delivered a stunning slam that earned a near fall, just a 1 count, but enough to prove that he could reach Gunther, could hurt him. On commentary, Michael Cole was visibly emotional, calling the action with trembling urgency. When McAfee nearly rolled Gunther into a pin, Cole stood up, slamming the desk, cheering him on. At one point, he even approached ringside, shouting encouragement during a brutal sleeper hold. Still, Gunther remained relentless. Near the climax, he delivered a powerbomb so devastating it could have ended the match. But he didn't go for the pin. Instead, he stared down at Mcafee, methodically dragged him to the center of the ring, and applied a sleeper hold with such intensity the referee hesitated. Then came the final blow, sharp, brutal elbows to Mcafee's head while maintaining the hold. The referee had no choice. The match was over. Silence fell. The crowd, once roaring, now stood in stunned reverence. And then, through blood and haze, Mcafee stirred. He dragged himself to his feet, barely standing, and looked across the ring at the man who had destroyed him. And in a moment no one expected, Gunther turned back to face him. And nodded. Just once. A quiet, subtle gesture of respect. For a man like Gunther, it meant everything. He left the ring without another word. But that wasn't the end of the story. Backstage, something even more profound happened. Cameras caught whispers of a legend watching closely from the shadows. The Undertaker, rarely seen, rarely heard, had been watching. Later that evening, WWE released a low-key interview with him online. In it, the dead man shared thoughts that sent ripples through the wrestling world. He didn't just praise the match. He didn't just commend Mcafee for his courage or acknowledge Gunther's power. He said Gunther reminded him of himself. Not in style, but in presence, the cold control, the precision, the dominance. And then he went further. The Undertaker said Gunther might be even more dangerous than he was in his prime. Because Gunther had begun to master something it took the Phenom years to understand: respect. A man who fights with rage is dangerous, the Undertaker explained. But a man who learns to respect the battlefield, who respects even those who oppose him, and still dominates them, is unstoppable. That small nod to Mcafee. It wasn't just a sign of sportsmanship. It was evolution. It was transformation. And it signaled that Gunther was no longer simply a dominant force, he was becoming something greater. As for Mcafee, the Undertaker spoke just as powerfully. He said the courage Mcafee displayed, stepping into the ring with a monster, knowing what might happen, took a rare kind of soul. The kind of fire that turns ordinary men into legends. His defiance, his refusal to back down, was the kind of moment that lives forever in the DNA of wrestling history. Now, the WWE Universe is left with more questions than answers. Will Pat McAfee pursue a full-time wrestling career? Will this battle earn him more matches, more opportunities? Has he proven that he's more than a voice at the table, that he's a warrior between the ropes? And perhaps more ominously, what comes next for Gunther? With the respect of The Undertaker behind him, with evolution underway, with dominance sharpened by newfound maturity, who, if anyone, can stop him now? WWE Backlash 2025 delivered more than just a thrilling night of action. It changed the course of careers. It sparked conversation. And it laid the groundwork for a new chapter in WWE history. When The Undertaker speaks, the world listens. And now the world is watching, because Gunther isn't just chasing greatness, he's becoming it. The war for WWE's soul has entered a new, more dangerous era.